So possibly that's the way how you innovate. So maybe I'll just sum it up. And my point is essentially the role of learning in how do you build new business model. I come from IT industry. So a preamble is obviously I'll be to great extent influenced by IT industry. We work Citrix. I don't know how many of you know Citrix, but I can assure you use Citrix. Just to give you a statistics, 75% of the internet traffic of the world today moves through Citrix. So if you work Yahoo, you work Google, you work any of this, including, for example, if some people are from HDFC and ICICI Bank, they use our product. We call ourselves an anyness company. Anyness means you have any apps, any time of the world, anywhere in the world, and anybody want to connect. Of course, as I often say that, not without telepathy, you must have a connection. And you do that. That's what we do for our business. Okay, so a couple of very quick models. If you really see, I don't know how many of you remember Maggi noodles. It's still one of the largest products. And they completely changed the food habit of Indian industry. Noodles came as a very convenient, and the way they launched the product, I was talking to my brother who was in IIT Kharagpur, student, and he used to tell me that when he used to visit me in Calcutta, we used to go and places where they will cook Maggi to feed you, free of cost. And today what it is. They studied the market. I think it is possibly one of the most well-known examples of how do you convert customer learning into innovative business model, completely changing. It didn't exist. And what Mr. Barman was talking about, Vijay Govindarajan, he's the third. They thought about it even when they were in the present. They completely changed the market. How many of you have heard about this? This is from this city of Bombay, and it's by Godrej. And there is a wonderful case study if you read 2011 Harvard Business Review, Jan Feb, read this. This talks about the innovative business model in emerging countries. Godrej has been experimenting with it because they found out, they were studying how to get into the market of refrigerator. And they figured out there is no space because the Korean companies are doing extremely well. And Godrej himself are doing. So they were trying to find out innovative business model. And they figured out, like C.K. Prahlad has found out, the purchasing power at the bottom of the pyramid. When they went there and they found these are the very, very, the income group less than 10,000 people. And can you guess what they were looking for? Because they were having a tough time to have a 2 square meals, and many a times they wanted to eat, and all these people did manual work. The housewife actually worked in many of the houses. So when they eat in the night, they had to keep this food for the next day morning. Could they have kept it in a manner where they can use it next day? To cut the long story, after all this, they involving 200 women in Ahmednagar. They told that they co-created the product. They created Chotu Cool, which is basically a very small thing where they use a chip. There is no compressor. The design is such it makes, and the price is less than 3,500. And they have used simple fan, which is normally used in a hardware to keep your computer cool. Wonderful example. How many of you have heard this company called Zoho? Anybody in this room? If you go and ask Google who is their competitor, they will talk about Zoho. And we must be very proud of this company. And the owner of this company called Dr. Sridhar Vembu, an IIT Madras guy who went to Princeton, did his PhD, and started this company. And in fact, they have snatched a couple of orders from Google. They are about 1,000 people company based out of Chennai. What did Sridhar Vembu do? I come from a product company, and we go to recruit the best of the talent. 50% of our engineers come from IITs. I come to this city, I'll be coming very soon to IIT Mumbai to make a PowerPoint presentation. We recruit only from IIT Mumbai and NIIT, the computer science engineer. Top of the guys, because we believe that we can't get anybody other than IIT guys. Because most of my directors are IITians. So they believe unless you are a 9-pointer or a 10-pointer from IIT, you can't come and work on the product company. We are extremely valuable. Our current market cap is 8 times more than we are doing a lot of product. We have developed so far 120 patents from our Bangalore center. Now this is the mindset. If I tell them that I go to somewhere else, they will look at me and say as if I have done a big scene. Now what did Sridhar Bamboo did? And this is a top-notch product company. They have about 1,000 people. And if you want to see, just type it Zoho, and today you can see there are lot many films in YouTube. I urge you to go and see this. He said that I'm going to train people who are high school kids coming from very poor families and taught them programming in Tamil. And he has about 100 top-notch programmers operating out of Chennai. He has completely proven wrong. I belong to that category. I work for a product company where I believe I can only go to the top-notch schools. I can't go to anybody other than NIITs and IITs. And I showed my directors the film. Look at this. I'm sure all of you remembered iPod. What did? All of you know the story of iPod. But what did you know how this product was developed? I have a friend who worked in the Valley for Apple. And when they were doing it, the first time this product was again co-created. We are talking about impact of learning. The companies believe that they can't learn the future. The only way you can create a future is by co-creating it. So they have involved musicians. They have involved labelers. And of course, a hardware vendor and a software vendor. To create something, they change the way we listen to music. Tremendous impact of learning on innovation. How many of you know that Google Map was created out of India? Why? If you go to United States, they're not like us. If you ask and if you have driven in United States, you will know that they will say, you put a GPRS and you start driving. They will say 49th highway, take a right turn. Then take a left turn and you reach the highway numbers such and such and you go there. You come to India, go out of this, come out of Mumbai airport and they will say, सीधा जाइए, बाएं पे एक टेम्पल मिलेगा. टेम्पल के बाद राइट साइड में चला जाएगा, वहां पे एक स्कूल मिलेगा. स्कूल के पीछे एक ग्राउंड है. वो ग्राउंड का कोने में वो बिल्डिंग है. In Asian mind, what we do is we don't give direction. Our direction is based on the map. And just to let you know, the Google guys realized that this is what the way in developed countries the direction is given. And rest is all history. So you have Google Map. And as you know, in one of the things what we use is called crowdsourcing in IT. Crowdsourcing is just put a problem in the net and asking people to give solutions. I was told in Karachi, in Pakistan, the entire Google map for the city of Karachi was done within 7 hours by crowdsourcing. People just told, here is the mosque, here is the garden, here is the shop, and you get it. So, I'm sure you have been hearing this. Couple of points. So, what are the learnings from these examples? There is a classical paper by J.W. March in Organization Design paper. He published this paper in 1991. Phenomenal work. He said there are two ways organization learns. One is called exploration, which is external. And you have hard. And even Mr. Burman was talking about Govindarajan's model. Box 1, box 2, and box 3. Box 3 is future. Box 1 is to safeguard. Every organization is trying to do that. So organization, and you heard many examples of Reliance. You heard the example of Bombay Airport. You heard the example of LIC, which comes under exploitation. Exploiting the internal sources. But the research says in the future, you must have a great balance between exploration and exploitation. So when LIC wanted to do a program, they said, we will do it in Borivali, but Ahmedabad faculty will come and deliver the program. The second, Peter Senge, as you know, the guru of learning, he talked about that. Organization must support both adaptive and generative learning. All of you have learned this very simply. Adaptive learning is what we call it as survival learning. Straight, deductive reasoning. You go, you are doing a program. If you are doing what you are doing best, you go into there, and lots of methodologies, lots of ways. I mean, all my co-panelists have shared with you the great examples of the number of hours spent getting people there, getting their suggestions. You heard about Maruti's, I think when I was listening to that, how they develop the rural dealers. Wonderful example of kind of getting that insight and creating people and positioning them where there could be a huge future market. Right? So, but you have to be very, very careful about what is called a generative learning. And the research says the organization has to create, and that's what Apple did, and Apple is continuously doing. It's the richest company in the world because it creates future. Every time it creates, with all respect to Samsung, I respect Samsung quite a lot, but still they are copying Apple. Maybe a better copier, but Apple is only company they have kind of created, and because their huge emphasis on generative learning, and generative learning comes when you start questioning the way you do. As I said, I don't know how many of you know Apple went to Nokia to do a collaboration. And I have a colleague of mine in Citrix who used to work for Nokia, and he told me the story. In 6 months, they broke up. You know why? Because Nokia asked them, we are the phone company. Don't tell us what to do. You make Mac. You make computer. Steve Jobs came back, broke the partnership. And just to tell you, called all the developers on one day, and then they said, I want everything to be done on one touch. The developer said, it cannot happen. I said, I do not care, but my customer cares. Questioning the way things are done. And rest, Apple phone, is history. So, you will see this organization must do simultaneously to give this. The research also said, and this is again one of my favorite authors, Daniel Pink, and if you have not read the book, I urge you to read this book, especially those who are in learning and development. The book is called The Right Brain Will Prevail. And Daniel Pink says the 20th century was made for left-brainers. If you think logically, if you go by deductive reasoning, which is the basis of any programming, you will succeed. He said 21st century, it is going to be for the right brains. And that's where my favorite quote, if the right me has left me, then can my left me be right? And just to give you an example in that, he talked about the doctors in Yale Medical School were sent for an art appreciation course. Because when you go for an art appreciation course, those who know art, I'm sure some of them must be in this room. For us, we just see the photograph or for the picture. Those who appreciate art, they will say the strokes. Medical doctors send for art appreciation course. Keith Sawyer from Washington University, he's a leader in creativity. And you can read his latest book, and he has come out with a completely different perspective. He says, organization, learning, and innovation are always part of unplanned, unintended, emergent side. They cannot be commanded. Whatever structure you create, you cannot create. Creativity, to my mind, is an individual phenomenon. And what learning and development does, it institutionalizes it to create innovation. That's what learning and development does. Create innovation. Right? That's why the companies like Google, companies like GE has been consistently doing. I'm a little biased about IT because I'm an IT guy, but I'm sure a lot of you have heard about GE's X-ray machine, which came out of the emergent market because they realized in emergent market, your price has to be less. And when you put somebody, if you have gone inside a screen, you feel very threatened. I don't know how many times, I don't want any one of you to go there, but a lot of us has to go there. And they realized, and they started with the kids, how to make kids enjoyable when they go for MRI. And that's how they created this, so that you have to spend a less time. The size is smaller, and it's very interesting. It looks like, you are inside in some fantasy. So, Kit Sawyer talks about it. Please read this book. He actually challenges, and he says it is going to be, and therefore, he said, no matter how is your organization structure, no matter how much you spend your money, you can't create. And therefore, he talks about it has to come. It's a very, very right-brain centering creativity, which is going to make you a winner. The last one. This is IBM Institute of Business Value 2007. And this is a lot of you who are learning and development specialists, you come into picture. And one of the recommendations, this was a recommendation of the Roundtable Conference of Chief Learning Officer organized by IBM Institute of Business Value in 2007. And one of the report they said, migrating from bringing workers to the learning to bringing learning to the workers. And that's where I think Mr. Burman talked about action learning. Action learning brings learning to the worker. You talk about different methodologies like future search, conferencing, open space. These are all change methodologies where you involve. British Airways involved 14,000 people in their change management workshop. 14,000. In your very city, Larsen & Toubro got 860 people to create their future. These are all different technologies where you are bringing. And that's what companies like us in Citrix we are doing. We are saying work-life balance, the days of work-life balance is over. In fact, my CEO just gave an interview a couple of weeks back in New York Times, and he said this word, and I will use this. He said, the days of work-life balance is over. It is now life slicing. Your life is constant. That's the only thing is constant. But you can't say other than anything happens to you, and you slice your life. That means you slice your work to the life, and that's what we do. You use virtualization. You use mobile, for example. You use tablet. You use laptop. We have a policy, we call it bring your own device, BYOD. That's the innovation we have brought. We actually give people $2,100 to buy a computer of their choice. Earlier we used to call it BYOC. Now we have changed the C to D because the Gen Y says, why you are bothered what devices I buy? All you care is I become productive. So we have changed the policy to bring your own device. And a couple of months back, I was in this very city along with my sales guy talking to the Aditya Birla group. And it was a group of 25 CFOs and CEOs. And after I made the presentation, I told them this is what is going to happen. They were so thrilled. They said, why my agents have to come to office? If you come to my office in Bangalore, we have no attendance system. No physical, no virtual. You can work from home. And if you want to know the result, as I said, we have produced 122 patents from my Bangalore centers. 122. So, the point I'm trying to make, therefore, is learning and development is going to play a very strategic role. One of the things they does, the individual creativity, they institutionalize it, and that's what is business innovation. And the future of business innovation will come from a very, very non-hierarchic organization. The future of innovation will come from involving customers. The future of innovation will come from creating an organization using a social network, using everybody because you don't know where the solution is. So I will just end my quote. not from anybody else, but the guru of leadership, Warren Bennis. And Bennis wrote, innovation, any new idea, by definition, will not be accepted at first. It takes repeated attempts, endless demonstration, monotonous rehearsals before innovation can be accepted and internalized by an organization. This requires courageous patience. I think that's what learning and development professional has to demonstrate to steer the organization for success. So thank you for your courageous patience, for listening to us. We'll open it up for question and answer.
Try